Good morning, friends. Welcome to Coffee with a Senior. I'm thinking about something that happened last Tuesday. I was struggling to get my garbage cans back from the curb. You know, my back was having one of those days. When Bob just appeared and wheeled them up to my garage without saying a word. That's when it hit me. When did we become those neighbors? The ones who just know when to help without being asked. And more importantly, why did it take us 70 years to figure out what being a good neighbor really means? I'll be honest with you, for most of my adult life, I was what you might call a polite neighbor. I waved when I saw people, kept my lawn decent, didn't play my music too loud. I thought that was enough. You know how it goes. Keep to yourself, don't cause problems, maybe chat about the weather if you're both getting mail at the same time. But something changes when you get older. Maybe it's having more time. Maybe it's realizing that people living 20 feet away from you might be the difference between someone finding you quickly if something goes wrong or lying there for days. Last year, when my wife was in a hospital for her surgery, it was our neighbors who made sure I ate real meals. Not my adult children who lived across the country. Not my coworkers or my neighbors. Mrs. Patterson from next door brought me a casserole every other day for 2 weeks. Bob checked on me every morning just by happening to walk his dog past my front window at the same time. Good neighbors notice things. They notice when your newspapers sit on the driveway all day. They notice when your lights don't come on at the usual time. And they notice when you haven't moved your car in a week. But they also notice the good things. Bob noticed I planted new tomatoes this spring and mentioned that his father grew the same variety. That led to a 20-minute conversation about gardening and stories about our dads. Mrs. Patterson noticed my wife's birthday flowers being delivered and stopped by later that day with a card. Good neighbors know the difference between being helpful and being nosy. When our kitchen faucet started leaking last month, Bob mentioned he knew a reliable plumber. He didn't ask why we needed one, didn't offer to come look at it himself. He quietly provided information when it might be useful. And here's something I learned. Good neighbors understand that sometimes the best help is the kind that preserves dignity. When I had a dizzy spell a few months ago, Bob didn't make a big scene. He just said, "Wayne, you look a little pale. Why don't you sit down? I'll get you some water." No drama, no calling the ambulance, just quiet assistance to let me keep my pride intact. The beautiful thing about good neighbors is that it goes both ways. When Bob's grandson was learning to drive, I let him practice backing out of my driveway because mine's wider than Bob's. When Mrs. Patterson couldn't figure out how her new smart TV worked, I spent an hour with her getting it set up. These aren't big favors, they're just, life. The small kindnesses that make a neighborhood feel like a community instead of just a collection of houses that people just happen to live near. And there's something else having good neighbors makes aging in place possible. Knowing that Bob will notice if I don't bring in my mail, that Mrs. Peterson will see if my lights aren't on at the same time, that's better than any alarm system. It's human security. You don't become a good neighbor overnight. It starts small. Learn their names. Actually learn them. Notice their routines, not to spy, but to care. And wave like you mean it. If they're outside working in their yard, walk over. Say hello instead of just watching from your window. And here's the secret. Being a good neighbor isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. This week, pay attention to your neighbors. Not in a nosy way, but in a caring way. You might be surprised how much community you can build just by being the neighbor that you'd want to have. Next week, we're talking about something we all deal with, but rarely discuss openly. When your body starts saying no to things it used to say yes to. Until then, be the neighbor who makes the neighborhood a little better by just being there. Glad you were here for this conversation. One small thing you can do today. Bring a little joy to someone's life. Until then, cheers.